Hello learners and welcome to Modern World 2. We are on week 25, continuity and change since the Cold War. So we are starting at checkpoint number 1. Okay, so hopefully last week you guys worked on your diagnostic and you completed your power focus areas. And now we're going to get into checkpoint number 1. Okay, so we're learning about Central America and the U.S.'s Cold War actions on Latin America, Central America. Okay, so I can successfully describe the most significant impact of U.S. Cold War actions on Central America. So let's think back about what you can recall about the Cold War, whether it's a little bit, whether it's nothing. Just think about what you've learned over the years. Can you remember what countries were involved? What were some of the disagreements that these countries had during the Cold War? And why is this war called a Cold War or cold? Okay, so we're going to learn more about that today. So if you can't recall things, it's definitely going to come back to you, or you're going to learn it today. Okay, so you're going to look at it and read and take notes on the document sets as well as the Central America graphic organizer found in checkpoint number 1. So there's a lot of document sets. I know in my class usually there's like one document set. This time they're focusing on different countries. So there's actually an overview of US and Latin America in the Cold War document set. There's one on Honduras and there's one on El Salvador. So you're going to go in, look at those, and then you can complete the graphic organizer. You can also watch the videos, the events in Latin America during the Cold War. It's going to provide you with a background of the Cold War and how the United States wanted to protect Central America from communism. You can just watch the beginning of it again because it's from study.com, but it has a great introduction that's really going to introduce you to communism and what was happening. And you can also watch how the Cold War contributed to the modern Central American migrant crisis. So you're going to learn how what happened during the Cold War continued until today. And that's really what this whole project is about, continuity. You're seeing how things happened from the Cold War and continued on until today. And this is a very, very good video to show you that. I'm just going to provide you some really good background. And then there's a Quizlet on the Cold War and Latin America. Okay, so after learning about the Cold War in Latin America, what do you believe this political cartoon represents? Please pay particular attention to the American hat and where it is located. Okay, so kind of notice the Western Hemisphere, notice where the hat's at, and hopefully everything you learned will help you to answer this political cartoon. Okay, so in order to check your understanding of the Cold War in Latin America, please take the quiz to review. And after having learned about the U.S. and Latin America during the Cold War, you're going to complete checkpoint number 1, telling me what you believe was the most significant impact of the U.S. Cold War actions on Latin America. And then there's a rubric down below them. Okay, and then just tell me what new information you learned from this lesson. And hopefully you learned a lot, because a lot of people don't realize that Latin America, when they think about the Cold War, they think about the United States and what is now Russia, which was the USSR. Part of it broke up and became Russia. So people think of that, or Cuba. They don't often think of, El Salvador and Honduras and places like that. Okay, so again, this is just an overall description that I went over before, but what is the Cold War? How did it affect Latin America? We're going to investigate how the impact on the Cold War into Latin America, considering the politics, the economy, the quality of life afterwards. Further, we are what are the lasting consequences of the Cold War? You're going to learn about the impacts, such as how the Cold War initiated destabilization in many Latin American countries, and this in turn has led to an immigration crisis, where many are forced from their countries and seeking asylum, which is kind of goes along with the video that I put in to kind of show you how actions during the Cold War are still being affected today. You'll see how they continue to today. So using all of this information, you can then identify which of the United States actions had the most significant impact on Latin America. Then you're going to dive deeply into one long-term consequence of the Cold War and trace the development of that particular Cold War topic or issue. Okay, so we're going to kind of look back and we're going to look forward. Okay, again, before you think about what has changed, before we can think about what has changed and what has stayed continuous since the Cold War, we need to ground ourselves in what is the Cold War. Since Latin America is so close to the U.S. geographically, it's been involved in U.S. foreign policies for a long time and was greatly impacted by the Cold War. So we're going to look at some key moments. And part 2 of the project is many of the issues we debate in politics today can be traced back to the Cold War. The Cold War presents many moments of key change as well as examples of continuity. Understanding the past can help us better understand the present and think about the future. Okay, COG skills we talked about last week: argumentative claim, picking evidence, explaining your evidence, tracing the Cold War topic to today, organizing and representing information, and constructing an evidence-based explanation. Okay, and then habit of success is just curiosity. Okay, so any questions or concerns, please reach out to me, and if not, you have a wonderful, productive week. Thank you.